Okay guys, I'm about to share my most awkward moment as a blind woman.
Beautiful is the sound of that rain. I know.
First things first, let's make some tea. Obviously it had to be the cow biscuits, also known as malted milk. I'm about to tell you my most awkward moment or experience as a blind woman. So get some tea, because it's going to be a good story time. I don't know if you guys can hear the rain. I've got my windows open so that the rain sound comes on. It's so beautiful. Oh, c'est maza. Wait, let me just take a sip of my tea while it's hot. This is really good tea, by the way. Oh, masala tea without the hassle. All right. You know it's serious when I've got a mic, okay? Okay, so basically, it's a bit of a funny one actually. And this was way before like I lost my vision. This was like on the journey to when I was losing my sight. This was when I had already lost the majority of the sight in my left eye from 2008, yeah? So this was way back. We're going way back, rewind. So I used to go out, obviously, shopping and to the markets and whatnot. And there was this guy who looked, well, to me, a lot like one of my cousins, like my first cousin, no less. And I was a bit scared of him because he was like Borobaisa, like he was like one of the oldest, yeah. And he was the type, like, if you see him and you don't say assalamu alaikum to him, yeah, he will call your mom and he will say, Igwa maridika salam korsena. And you know, like, yeah, my mom don't take lightly to that. So anyway, he had a particular look. He was always suited and booted. You know, he had his slick back hair and he always wore these lenses, right? So I knew what he looked like. So when I saw this guy who was my cousin, like for me, that was my cousin. The first time I saw him was in Iceland and I was like, I'm going to say this in Bengali and then I'll translate it. And I was like, Assalamu alaikum baisab, which means Assalamu alaikum big brother, yeah? And he sort of just nodded awkwardly and I was like, he's a bit rude. I said salam, I did my bit, but anyway, let's move on. Then like a couple of weeks go by and I bump into him again, like in the same market, yeah? And I see him again, and every time I see him, he's on his own. Like he's married with kids, right? But every time I see this guy, he's on his own. And yeah, he's doing a bit of shopping and I went to get some hundies. And I see him again in the market looking at the same hundies that I'm looking at. And I'm like, yeah, he's not gonna talk to me first. I have to be the first one, yeah? So I'm like, Assalamu alaikum baisab. And he's like nodding quietly, yeah? So this happens a few times over and over again. I bump into him and I'm always like, Assalamu alaikum baisab, Assalamu alaikum baisab. And then one day, he goes to me, he goes, do I know you? Ami tumhare sinini? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. And I tell him my name, like the name that my family know me as, like you know, my home name. And he's like, no, doesn't ring a bell. This isn't even the funniest bit. The funniest bit's coming. Just hold on. So he's like, no. And then he asks me where I'm from, my body and all that stuff. Yeah, and I tell him and he goes, no, I'm from Biani Bazaar. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we're definitely not related by any means whatsoever. No hate to Biani Bazaaris, but we are not related because I'm a juggernaut, yeah? So I'm not related to you. So once we established that, I'm like, okay, this is not my cousin. So bear in mind, my eyesight on my right side is still pretty good. My left blind ass eye is really bad, okay? And by then, I think I started to experience some sight loss in my right eye, but I was unaware of it. I wasn't seeing any medical stuff, like I wasn't getting any medical attention. So I didn't really know. And so I was like, okay, that's not my cousin. Now here's the weird bit. This is the awkward bit. This guy, I bump into, this time it's in a totally different, it's like in the same area, but it's in a totally different setting. This was like, I think there was like a bazaar. I think it was like a mela kind of thing. And anyway, he starts walking up to me and I'm like, okay, this time is it him? Like, you know, like I'm still doubting, like, okay, I know that guy wasn't him, but is this him? Because the way he's walking up to me, like this guy knows me. And he's walking up to me and he goes, Kita gobo and bala Sony. And we're like, this was like a really slow moment. You know when you watch those romantic movies, right? And then when like the hero walks in and the heroine sees him and everything slows down and his hair is blowing in the air and her hair is blowing in the air. I'm not joking, time slowed down. It was the slowest walk towards me he's done. Not in a romantic way, in a really scary way. And I was like, oh, okay, that must be him, right? So he's walking towards me and I'm like dead staring in his way, like in that path, yeah? He comes up to me and he's like, Kita gabuin bala sosni, which means basically in English, hey sis, how you doing? And I'm like, his name and Baisab? I mention his name and I say Baisab. And then he laughs, he goes, nah, it's me. What? So this guy took the liberty to take the piss out of my terrible sight. Obviously he thought it's funny. He's like thinking, oh, I might as well call her sis, yeah. So yeah, he did that and I was just so embarrassed. I wanted the earth to swallow me up. I just thought, this is so humiliating. I've said hello to him so many times that legit this guy now literally is saying hello to me like as a joke. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, that's my awkward story of how I made a complete stranger my cousin brother, because I thought he looked like my cousin. But it was not my cousin. And ever since then, for as long as I had a bit of sight, every time he would see me, he'd give me this nod. Like, you know the nod like you'd give to your cousins that you're not that close to, like, who's close to their dad's side of the family? That's my dad's side, you know what I mean? Like, dad's sides are a bit... Anyway, so, like, when you see your dad's side of the family, like, you know, that nod, like, yeah, like, cool, we're cool. That nod, and I'm like, mate, you're a Biani Bazari. Don't give me that nod. Don't be giving me that nod. We ain't related, bro. I made a mistake. Hands up, but we are not related. Anyway, do you have any awkward stories? It doesn't have to be related to sight loss where you mistook someone, but if you are blind and visually impaired, what's your awkward story? Make sure you tag me in them. I'd love to hear them. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to drinking my sa. My lovely spicy Bengali tea.